Welcome back to Goldwynn Dinner Club. I'm Grif.
Welcome. I don't know why he did the prayer again. I guess in case you want to see that animation. We're here. We're going to the desert temple. We're about to hook it up, baby.
About to hook it up, baby.
Hook it up, hookity, hook it up, whippity, wappity, whap. Let's go.
Whip,
Beamos.
whap,
Haha,
whippity
nice
whap.
try.
Whip,
So you
whippity
can
whap.
kind of kill Beamos in other Zelda games, but not in this one. Ooh.
You can't hit him with an arrow?
No.
Oh.
I mean, unless I am insane and I've played this game 30 times and I've never known that, you cannot do that.
You can't even stun him?
Not at all.
Huh.
Well, eventually you get a laser shield that can bounce it off, but it won't hurt him. He's an obstacle, not an enemy. But in later games, you could throw bombs at him and kill him.
I've been playing Wind Waker, and I just unlocked the most useless item in the game that I forgot even existed. The magic armor.
It's not, yeah, it's like, you know what, with hero mode on, it has a use finally. Otherwise, not needed.
It's just like, it sucks your magic away so quick. And you don't really want to use it because you're not really sure when the next time you're going to need your magic is.
The rupee armor in Twilight Princess is just slightly more useful.
I think
you need it for the Cave of Ordeals or whatever.
I think in Wind Waker it's that you need magic to use the Korok leaf. And you use the Korok leaf so often.
Which I gotta say, you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't. It's not that way in any of the other games.
Not a magical
where you
item.
can like paraglide.
They're like, hey, we decide what is or isn't a magical
Oh, I'm
item.
so excited about Breath of the Wild 2. Can it just come out now? With like the people, you get to like fly around on flying islands. It's gonna be like what Skyward Sword should have been, like what I thought Skyward Sword was gonna be.
Skyward Sword wrote a lot of checks that it couldn't cash.
Yeah, and it was partially because it was on the Wii, and it was just like it didn't have the technology.
I don't think that's it. I really don't think that's it. Like they were very kind of surprisingly open about the development process on that, and they said a lot of stuff about how, you know, we wanted to do motion controls. We set out to do motion controls, and for the record, I like the motion controls on it. They're like, we set out to do motion controls, and we liked it, and then, you know, we showed it off, and they didn't like it, so we built it again without motion controls. It's a different game. It's all about these other mechanics. And then boss comes in and he says, I'm not mentioning names specifically because I want to make sure I'm not getting my information wrong, which is very likely. But this was from like an Iwata Asks at the time.
Just say it's your opinion, then you can't get sued.
Okay, it's my opinion. But this was something that I had read. So they built it without motion controls. Boss man comes in and goes, where are the motion controls? This is for the Wii. And they're like, oh God. And so they had to rebuild it again. So you've got a game that was stopped and restarted and rebuilt at least twice over the course of 5 years rather than like a decade. That's what I would call a troubled development. And considering that, they did a very good, considering that troubled development, they made a pretty good game. But I think that's what happened. It was just an inability to make that core decision. But I will say just because I don't want to be negative about too much. It's definitely nowhere near my favorite. But the things I like about it are its music. I actually do like the motion controls, and I like the boss fights. But there's a lot of that. People complain about the motion controls, but that is not what's lacking in that game. What's lacking was actual emergent gameplay, which they fixed in Breath of the Wild because it was all about approach and tools, where Skyward Sword was like, go here and do this or else.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like it just was like I always say that my thing is like I don't like to be interrupted. And that's just a game where there's like no flow. It's just constantly
Yeah.
being interrupted.
We talked about this before, but it was also from the era of the Wii where they really wanted new sort of gamers to step in. And I totally understand that, because otherwise you're going to end up with a dead market, like, you know, comic books or some other thing. Like, you need to invent, and you need to innovate, and you need to get new people. And it's also a noble and worthy thing to do. So I'm for it. But they were so afraid of people not finishing the game that every game around that time is just obsessed with, like, making sure you beat it. And I'm like, it's okay to leave some people behind. It's okay. Some people only want to play the game and play the first hour or so and say, that was kind of fun, and then go back to reading a book or having a picnic. Like, it's okay to leave them behind, and I'm glad that newer sort of Nintendo games are doing that. Saying, okay, you know what? You're going to play it, or you're going to beat it, or you're not. Spend your money, have fun. And we're finally back in the era with, like, Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, where this stuff is all about approach and freedom again, and it's so, so great. So it's like, they know.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, here's a cool trick. Gosh, what should we talk about?
You could just stay there.
Yeah.
I always get killed in this room. I can't believe it.
Yeah. You know how you don't get killed by the room?
Don't
enter the room.
Have you ever seen the movie The Cube?
I have heard people tell me about this, and like that it's so bad in such a good way, but I've never seen it.
I wouldn't even say it's bad. It's like it's an indie film, I guess. So it's like.
But it's like Hellraiser, right? Where it's like torture room.
Yeah,
it's designed to torture you.
Well, they're in a giant Rubik's cube, and every time they switch from one cube to the next cube, and you enter through like little doors that each wall has its own door, and you have to choose which door to go through.
Oh, am I missing a key? Okay, good.
And
yeah, keep going.
Whichever one you pick will be either a death trap or it'll be safe. And the death trap will always be something really unique and fun, like wires cutting you into pieces or something.
Yes, I remember that. I know for sure I've seen that scene.
Yeah. And they
awful.
figure out that there's like an algorithm to figure out which room to go into next, so it turns into like a Zelda dungeon. It's interesting because the whole movie is like, I swear they were inspired by Zelda, because it feels like they took a Zelda dungeon and made a movie about it.
Here we go again. Oh my god. I don't know if the key is in one of those pots. If it is, I should just go grab it. You could also break them with your sword, which a lot of people don't know. There. Just go. Yeah, the Cube. Great title, first of all.
Yeah, it's a great movie. They also did another movie with, I think, two of the same guys. And it's a movie where these guys live in this house under an overpass, and they're just so stressed out, they both wish for everything to be gone. And then suddenly their house is now in an empty void, and they realize they have the power to wish away anything they want. They just can never wish it back. And then so it becomes basically like a Cold War between the two of them, where they're just trying not to piss the other one off so that he doesn't wish them away. It's a really cool idea. This is so much like that boss in Wind Waker.
Yeah, it's a lot of those bosses share similar naming conventions, if not the exact same name. So this is, I believe this is Landmola. Then we're going to fight Molder pretty soon. But Landmola is a classic Zelda enemy. He's in Link's Awakening as well. Like, he's in so much. At this point, he's just a staple. Gotta have Landmola. I love that old like Zelda 1 commercial where the guys are rapping the names. With Octoroks, Moblins, and Tektites too. Link, you can do it. Wiki, go Link. Yeah, get some. It's just the corniest thing of all time, but I kind of love it. There, die. Die, death, die. Mine and pendant. Excellent.
That's dope. Yeah, it's a sphere. But it's not a string.
But look, see the dark blue shadow along the bottom? I interpret that as dimension and not a form shadow. I interpret that as
I picture that
Z-axis.
I picture that as like how they draw the Dragon Balls with like always like a rim of a crescent of dark on the inside.
I'm gonna search my brain banks for the artwork of it as well. Yeah, it's still it looks a little more like an orb, but I don't know. That's just not how I see it.
Well,
it just isn't.
That concludes another episode.
Thank you for joining us.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.